by way of introduction, my name is Michael Plord. I'm one of the admission counselors here with Holy Cross, and I'll be just moderating today's session. I will, of course, be able to turn it over to Miles Cahill, who's actually our health professions advisor at the college, and he'll certainly be able to provide a presentation, a little bit of a presentation, but we do always appreciate this panel in particular to really be more of a Q&A. And so you all have the ability to ask any questions that you may have using the Q&A feature here within the Zoom webinar. So you're welcome to type any questions that you may have as the presentation is going on, and we will, like I said, either be able to turn those over to Miles, to Dr. Cahill, or we'll of course be able to answer them through the Q&A feature itself. We do also have Andrew Corbett here, who's actually one of our health professions students, so we'll be able to provide a little bit of a student perspective as part of the process. But I do also just quickly want to note before I turn it over to Dr. Cahill that we are recording today's session, and we will actually post a recording of this on the Accepted Students website, so you'll be able to see this afterwards. And I should also note that we do have live closed captioning available, which you can actually utilize here in the Zoom webinar as well. With all of that said, I will go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Cahill, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. Hi, I'm Miles Cahill. I'm the Health Professions Advisor here at the college. I'm also a professor in the Department of Economics, but I'm a Health Professions Advisor because I just love advising students. That's really my passion. I've been at the college for 26 years. I've been the Health Professions Advisor, I think, for about 6, before that Associate Advisor, but I've been on the committee since 1998. So I've been doing this a really long time. It's my pleasure to talk to you today about some of the highlights of what we do here. And I'd love to get your questions and answer your questions. I really like doing this presentation live, and I like to let the audience drive the questions. So please don't be bashful and send questions through the Q&A, and I'll be happy to answer them as best I can. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started here. So who do we support here in Health Professions Advising? Well, if there are any alumni here from years ago, you may remember we're the pre-med program. We're now the Office of Health Professions Advising, because while we still primarily advise medical and dental and some vet applicants, we're also happy to help support PA applicants, nursing applicants, podiatry, optometry, physical therapy, occupational therapy, really any allied health program. And I think we're pretty unique in the liberal arts space of supporting so many allied health programs. What makes us really special, I think, is at Holy Cross, we view advising as teaching and not screening. So we're here as professors. The members of the committee are 8 professors at the college that view this as really part of our teaching work, not part of our screening work. So this means we're going to give honest feedback to all of our students and alumni going through the process. We help each student and alumni find their path to their career. We have advising through all 4 years. So it's not just me in the office. There are 3 other advisors in the office that help. And so in the end, you'll find that we don't push anyone to apply. So even superstar students, we're going to challenge them and make them think about this decision carefully. And we also don't give up on applicants. We understand that students often struggle, especially earlier in their careers. But as long as a student or an alumnus wants to be with us and keep working at it, we're going to be there working with them. So in other words, we're professors and clinicians, right? We're not here to judge or screen. Holy Cross alumni are leaders in the field, as I'm sure you know. The most famous probably is Dr. Anthony Fauci, who needs no introduction, but also Dr. Joe Murray gave the first kidney transplant many years ago. James Shannon founded the NIH. Dr. Michael Collins is the Chancellor at UMass. Dr. Bob Harrington, he's the Dean of Medical Education at Stanford. Helen Boucher has been working on infectious disease at Tufts. David Ryan is the Clinical Director of the Mass General Hospital Cancer Center. Jason Hall is the head of colorectal surgery at BU. So you get the idea. Deborah Fuller is a noted dentist in the area. Stephen Stack was the youngest president of the AMA since the Civil War, the American Medical Association since the Civil War. So our alumni have done very, very well over time. Our applicants still get in everywhere. We have applicants in recent years: Harvard, Stanford, WashU, Vanderbilt, Penn, Brown, coast to coast. We're a nationally recognized program. They get into primary care programs, research programs. We have at least one in an MD, PhD program right now. We're happy to support applications, both allopathic or MD programs and osteopathic programs when it comes to medicine. Dental school is similarly competitive. We have someone at Harvard this year, but really they get in nationally. They do very, very well. Okay, I see I have a question about being a student athlete. I'll be happy to answer that in a minute. So here are our recent statistics for medical acceptance rates. Over the long term, about 83% of applicants have gotten into medical school. That's either MD or DO medical school. We don't differentiate between them. This is about twice the national average. Nationally, about 40% of those who apply get into at least one MD school in a typical year. In a typical year, about 50,000, a little more than 50,000 applicants apply to MD school. A little over 20,000 get in, so that's about a 40% matriculation rate. And that's after applying to 20 schools. So private medical schools will often get over 10,000 applicants for 150 seats maybe. Tufts University got more than 15,000 applicants this year. Loyola in Chicago usually gets 15,000 applicants or so. And again, this is just for 100, 200 seats at the most. Dental school is also very competitive. About 55% are admitted after applying to roughly 10 schools. Schools vary a lot in their size and cost. Dental schools can cost anywhere between $70,000 a year to $130,000 a year. So given these national data, you can see that Holy Cross applicants have done very well over time. I know that at many schools that have many applicants, for example, Tufts, Loyola, Georgetown, et cetera, I know they're going to read every single one of our applications. I know they know that Holy Cross applicants are quality applicants, and they're going to look at each one of ours, even if they have tens of thousands, well, many thousands of others. The typical applicant in the year 2020 is probably a year past graduation. Now, why is this? Well, usually someone will find that they want some additional experience. They want to spend a year getting more clinical experience or research experience or something like that. They may have a weakness that they want to work on. They may need to take a couple of extra courses, or they may need some clinical work, or maybe they see a great opportunity. A lot of opportunities are 2-year requirements. So someone maybe want to do clinical research at the Dana-Farber Clinic. Well, they'll take advantage of that to prepare them for a career in research medicine or for that matter, patient care. And also, this is a very difficult decision, right? We're talking about someone who applies to medical school is looking at a 4-year commitment just to the first education component. This is going to cost $300,000, $400,000, something like that. This is a huge decision. And after medical school, then there's residency, which could be 3, 4, 5, 7 years or more. Right? This is a lifelong commitment that someone makes when they apply to medical school. And dental school is very similar. Vet school is very similar. It's a very long time-consuming training period. And so we encourage students to think very, very carefully about this decision. But that being said, we certainly have applicants that apply with no gap years at all, and some that are more than 5 years past graduation when they apply. We're happy to support students in the way they want to apply. We're going to challenge everybody, but in the end, we're going to be happy to support students in the way they want to. Okay, so here, I think I can start answering some of the questions I see in the Q&A. So why are the applicants older? Well, one of them is the number of classes. There are now 15 classes required for medical school. It's basically the same for dental school. So that's an answer to one of the questions. What's the major difference between the classes for dental and medical school? Basically boils down to sociology. Sociology is required for medical school today. It's not required for dental school. There's actually, believe it or not, more questions about sociology on the MCAT than there are questions about organic chemistry. So we have classes certainly in the sciences. There are 8 lab classes in the sciences plus biochemistry. There's statistics, there's calculus, there's 2 years or 2 semesters of English, there's psychology, there's sociology. It's a lot. It's a lot to do in just 3 years if you want to go straight to school without any gap years. Expectations have increased in terms of clinical experience, whether you're applying to medical or dental or any health professional school. They want to see that you have demonstrated experience working directly with patients over an extended period of time. And applying itself is very expensive. We're talking about $2,000 or $3,000 just to apply, especially to medical school. Dental school may be a little cheaper because applicants usually don't apply to quite so many schools, but it's very, very expensive. And then early rejection can be damaging. That is, if you don't get in once, then the next time you apply, if you turn around and apply again the next year, they're going to remember that they didn't take you the previous year. And as I said before, it's very expensive for medical school, dental school, $350,000 to $500,000. You want to make sure that this is something you really want to do, and you want to make sure that you're going to a school that's going to support you. So I was asked, what is it like being a student athlete and being on the pre-med track? We have lots of student athletes on the pre-med track. And no, they make it through just fine. We have actually our valedictorian a couple of years have been varsity athletes and have gone to great places. There's one at Stanford right now. So it's fine. And in those cases, usually using your 4 years makes the most sense. So you're taking only one lab a semester, but we have some athletes who apply after 3 years for sure. And second question is, what is the required class, which pre-med program students often find most difficult? It really varies. The sciences are certainly challenging, but for some people, they're really good at sciences. I think nationally, organic chemistry is thought to be the hardest stopper course. That may be true for some people, that it's a special challenge. Other people seem to really love it. It really depends a lot. Usually the basic sciences, though, to come into college and start taking our college biology, college chemistry is a challenge for just about anybody. And it should be, because as hard as college is, and it is hard, medical school and dental school is probably going to be hard. Okay, so when another question related, when choosing a major, does it necessarily have to be primarily a science major? Absolutely not. Well, I'll answer that question in a minute. Absolutely not. Be any major you want. So what makes a successful applicant? Here's a list of criteria, and you notice none of these is a science major, but a strong academic foundation is important. Strong exam scores is important and becoming increasingly important. Clinical and caring experience is absolutely essential. You need to be able to articulate why do you want to devote your life to caring for others, whether it be as a physician or dentist or veterinarian or PA or NP. You have to really explain why you're ready to do this, and not just in a theoretical way, but really by telling stories out of your experience. They're looking for maturity and they're looking for research. So they really want to see a rigorous curriculum, and there are many, as you know, many required science classes. So what that means is that anybody can be any major. When I ask physicians what one piece of advice would you give undergraduate students, the most common answer is don't major in a science, which I append to be don't major in a science unless that's what you love, because if you study sciences in college, it's going to be different than the sciences you study in medical school, right? In college, you're studying an academic discipline, and that's really not what you're doing in medical school. You're certainly using science, but you're applying science to learn how to diagnose and care for people. So be any major you want. This is your chance to take advantage of our full range of opportunities. But another question is, they're frowned upon by medical schools if some courses are taken in the summer? Generally, yes, because success in medical school isn't so much about being smart enough to understand organic chemistry or get through certain classes. It's really about being able to handle a load, a heavy load, right? Handle rigorous classes with a full load. So if you take classes in the summer because it's going to lighten your load, then that's going to that won't look nearly as good. If you're taking classes in the summer because they won't fit into your regular schedule, that's another story, but you really have to have a good reason for that. Medical schools are going to want to know why you're taking classes outside the regular curriculum. I would take them at Holy Cross anyway if you're here. They're going to be cheaper because they're part of your tuition, and you're not going to get stronger foundation anywhere, right? You want to get really strong, solid sciences if you're going to set yourself up for success later in medical school. Okay, so I think I had 2 questions on that. I think I answered those questions. Right. So again, we encourage students to consider all majors, right? Social sciences and humanities are equally important for health profession preparation. And what's important for you is you take advantage of these 4 years. You authentically engage in a discipline. It can be any discipline at all. That's what schools want to see, that you're passionate about something, or at least you really like something, you're willing to engage in it deeply, you're asking good questions, you're getting good skills, you're using your brain. For some health professions, there are required courses that are not offered at Holy Cross. Here's where being in Worcester is a real advantage, and that is we're in a community with lots of other colleges. UMass Med is in town for sure, but WPI and Clark and Assumption, there are many colleges in the Worcester area where you can take classes as part of your Holy Cross tuition, as part of your Holy Cross load. So if we don't offer a course here, you're going to be able to find a course somewhere else. Okay, so there are a lot of questions about when to take classes, where to take classes, and we're here to answer those questions all the time. We provide advising through all 4 years and beyond. We, as I said, I have actually an applicant this year from the class of '99 that I've been working with. So we work with first-year students and alums, who've graduated a long time ago. So what does this advising do? It helps you fit in all majors, any major you want. We'll be able to figure out how to make it work with your pre-med or pre-dental or other health professions requirements. We can fit in study abroad. We have lots of applicants who study abroad. It's a great experience. Athletics, really just about anything. You maybe can't do combinations of every single thing, but you can do really any of our academic programs. We offer help with personal statements, interviewing, internships. So our support includes myself. I'm the health professions advisor, where I primarily help the 3rd and 4th year and alums who are thinking about their application and helping them through that process with the questions about readiness and how to apply and where to apply, while we have 2 other professors who help with 1st and 2nd year advising. They're here to help with course planning, extracurricular planning, etc. We're very fortunate to have an alumni physician who works with us, Dr. Keith Musino, who's a Jesuit physician. He's from the class of '74, and he's worked on admissions at Georgetown, Loyola, and now UMass. He not only helps with admissions type questions, but he also offers all kinds of workshops on discernment and diagnosis and personal statements and interviews, etc. So I had a question about internships, and that was where I was going to go next. So on campus, we have lots of opportunities or academic internships, both during semesters, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and in summers. There are lots of volunteer programs in the Worcester area, both clinical and non-clinical. We have opportunities to do research with faculty, especially since, so this relates to another question, will a Holy Cross education prepare you better for your career than a small public school? Well, I'm not going to speak about anybody else's preparation, but what I can say is that at Holy Cross, you're a lot like a graduate student, in that we don't have a graduate program. We're a 4-year undergraduate institution. So our undergraduate students work with our professors in their research labs all the time, just like graduate students do. So when our students graduate or in summer internships, when they work in professional labs, they do fantastically well. They're just absolutely phenomenal. We have lots of student clubs as well that offer opportunities for students to engage in different kinds of caring. So one question here, when we enroll, when is the earliest you can meet with an advisor is a question. So anytime, you can meet with an advisor anytime. I train so we have a summer gateways orientation where you'd meet with an academic advisor to pick your classes for your first year. I train all those advisors to make sure they're ready to answer your questions. But other than that, as soon as you set foot on campus, we have a full office of advisors ready to help you. So what about these internships and other opportunities? Well, during semesters, we have our science labs on campus, hire students and work with students all the time. UMass Medical School is right across town, and they have our employer students as interns and employees as research assistants. They have a whole hospital system, of course. We have academic internships during semesters, not just in the Worcester area, but even the Boston area. And summers and breaks, we have an extensive internship network. We have a summer research program for sure, but also internship programs at UMass, Mass General Hospital. We have some big internships, Hartford Hospital in Connecticut, and NYU in New York, so all over the place. So lots of opportunities. Most of those opportunities are offered by alumni physicians, I have to say. They're extraordinarily generous and they're extraordinarily accomplished. They're everywhere. They're at every major medical center. So that provides lots of opportunities for our students. Okay, so let's talk about the review process a little bit. So after a student has taken all the classes and has engaged in experiences, and they think they're ready to apply to medical or dental or vet school, then they go through our committee review. And our committee review is a comprehensive review of 8 faculty members and clinical advisors that very carefully read all of the materials submitted by the applicant. And what we're looking for is certainly a strong academic foundation, although not one that's necessarily blemish-free. We're looking to make sure that the applicant has demonstrated competency in the key science areas. And if they had a little hiccup, then they've addressed it in some way. We look to make sure they have the enough experience so that they can articulate why they want to devote their life to caring for others. And in the end, we give each applicant feedback. We give them written feedback and we talk to them about their feedback. They know what their rating is. And that's something that's very, very rare in our business of pre-med advising. That most schools will not give their applicant their rating level and won't give them the kind of feedback that we give. Our lowest rating is called wait to apply. And that is just a clear message that we don't think you're ready yet, but here are things you can do to get ready. Our ratings reflect expectations of admission. So a rating isn't a gift from our office to somebody. We don't view ourselves as the gatekeepers. We view ourselves as professors and teachers and advisors helping the applicants understand what are the admissions committees looking for in an applicant and helping the student get there, helping the applicant get there. And in the end, once they're there, we write beautiful letters, and those beautiful letters tell the story of the applicant in a lot of detail, talk about their strengths and their journey. And I think that's one of the reasons why our applicants are so successful, that our applicants come alive to admissions committees when they read them, right? They know if someone is recommended. They know that they don't just say recommended, okay, that person's in. They look forward to reading the letter. And in that letter, they enjoy reading about all the accomplishments that the students have had over their time. And by doing that, I think we're able to separate that student apart from other applicants who have very similar numbers. If you ask any admissions committee member about the 40% they accepted, right? So nationally, again, about 40% of applicants get accepted to MD school. The next 40% look exactly the same numbers-wise. It's very hard to tell them apart. And I think we're successful at getting our applicants in because ours do look different, because they look like authentic, real people with real experiences, because they do. We make sure they have it, and we write about them well. Okay. So quick summary, and then I'm happy to take more questions. Why come to Holy Cross? So I'm not going to, I have a question, will Holy Cross education prepare you better for a career than a small public school? I'm not going to compare ourselves to anywhere else. I can say what our strengths are, and I can say we have a proven track record of success, that's for sure. Our applicants are very, very successful. they're successful when they apply, and then career-wise, they're enormously successful, right? The most famous doctor in the world is a Holy Cross alum. And we have great support from our alumni. That's one of, I think, of the most valuable things we have, is that those alumni physicians and dentists and PAs and MPs, et cetera, are always there ready to help mentor and provide opportunities for our students when they're looking for experiences, when they're looking for advice and mentoring, et cetera. We have very strong academics. I don't think that you'll find any other college with stronger sciences than us. Our science faculty, they're outstanding. They get huge grants. They hire our students to work in their labs, and they're really dedicated. Our science classes are small. You don't have any, 300 lectures, 300 student lectures in introductory biology. Right? We have every student gets known by every faculty member over time, because the reason our faculty member are here, because they love teaching. They love getting to know their students. We have all kinds of clinical research opportunities. If you're unfamiliar with Worcester, again, Worcester is home of UMass Med. It's a huge and very highly respected medical school. It's growing all the time. And we're just 45 minutes from Boston. So we're 45 minutes away from the Longwood medical area with MGH and Dana-Farber and Brigham and Women's. All those places are filled with Holy Cross alums that are looking to hire students for all kinds of opportunities. While you're here, you get strong advising, you get honest advising, which sometimes is hard to hear, but we see our job as providing honest feedback to our students throughout their career to make sure that they're thinking carefully about their decisions and they know what to do to improve themselves and to get themselves ready. And finally, we have a lifetime commitment. Like if someone comes through the committee and they're not ready yet, we'll say, well, we don't think you're ready yet. Here are things to do. Keep in touch with us. As long as it takes, we're happy to help you. Okay, so I will stop my share and then go to answering questions directly. Okay, great. So I have a question. What's the most popular med school that Holy Cross undergrads apply to? Depends on the year. Lately, it's been Loyola of Chicago, although Tufts is another one that's in the top. Quite a few apply to Georgetown and all over the place. They apply nationally. Is it easy for pre-health students to connect with HC alumni in healthcare for shadowing hours? The director of alumni students can refer to? Yes, absolutely. There's a couple of ways to do that. There's a Holy Cross Alumni Physicians Network, actually meeting with them on Wednesday to talk about this very topic. But our Center for Career Development has a whole network and a whole platform to connect students with alumni in medicine and other healthcare careers. They're very enthusiastic about meeting with students. How do you support students who want to find a summer internship, clinical experience in their home state? The Holy Cross Network is national, and we have networks of alumni everywhere. But you don't have to work with the Holy Cross alumni. We have lots of opportunities in all kinds of places. Chicago is a place where we have quite a bit, but even St. Louis, really, you name it, we have connections. We have office for a summer internship program. We have funding for students. So even if they get an unpaid summer internship, we have funding that will make sure that they're still able to cover their expenses and also make a little money over the course of the summer. Okay, students not from New England, you have relationship with summer research and internship sites, DC area, yep, DC area, Chicago area, yep, all kinds of places. Are connected all with Worcester Medical Center. So I'm not sure what that means. UMass Med Center we're connected to for sure. St. Vincent's too, we have some internships there as well. What are the classes required to be pre-health and how does that overlap with a biology major? So if you look at our website, I encourage you to look at our website to see the full classes. So really we're we're not an exclusive program. So to be so-called pre-med or pre-health at Holy Cross isn't really a thing. It's not something you have to apply to, or it's not something that you have to meet certain requirements. We're here as advisors, and so we'll tell you what courses you need to take to apply to your health professional school. And you know, that varies depending on the school. For medical school, there are 15 of them, and you know, some schools have extras on top of that. You know, dental schools are a different bunch, and PA school a little bit different, NP school a little bit different. So if you look at our website, our website has a lot of detail on what courses are required for med, dental. Okay, so there you have a link in the chat here. Does Holy Cross have resources for students that don't get into med school, meaning they'll help that student choose a different path? Sure. We're going to challenge every student along the way to think carefully about this decision. And if someone doesn't get in, we have a serious conversation with them. We try to figure out why. And if it's something that can be addressed, then the applicant has a choice. Do they want to address it and try to reapply, or do they want to do something else? So sure, we have a very accomplished career development center, and we have someone who's dedicated to not just healthcare careers, but all STEM careers. I'm happy to talk, if it's a different healthcare career, I'm happy to talk to anybody about any healthcare career. I think, you know, if someone doesn't get into medical school and there's another allied health program they're interested in, I'm happy to help with that. I encourage every applicant to think about every healthcare program. When students study abroad, what programs do they participate in to help in pre-med? Well, you really can't take required classes when you're studying abroad, unfortunately. And that's not our decision. That's the decision of, I assume pre-med, that's the decision of medical schools. You really need to take your required classes here. There's maybe a couple of electives you can take abroad, but otherwise you take them here, which you can fit in. So really you can study in any abroad program. That's fine. We can make any abroad program work. It's a matter of advising to make sure you're taking the appropriate classes here. And my advice is always to take full advantage of studying abroad, right? If you're in France or England or Australia, wherever you are for a year, take advantage of the opportunities in that place. Don't spend that time taking statistics or even, you know, biology or something, unless it's like, you know, biology of Australia, of wombats or something. Take advantage of the opportunity that you find yourself in. It's really a unique opportunity. I know students aren't allowed to have cars on campus for the first 2 years, but if they have internships or jobs, it is easy to apply to have cars on campus. How does it work? That's a question I'll defer elsewhere. I'm not sure. There is a way to request a car as an early student. I'm not sure exactly how that process works, but I think that's possible. Michael or Andrew, I don't know if you know the answer to that.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, this is probably a great time to bring in Andrew, who is our current student here pursuing the health professions advising track. Andrew, quickly, if you wouldn't mind, have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about, of course, your academic background and things you're involved in and around campus, things along those lines.
Yeah, for sure. First off, really glad to be here with you guys tonight. As Michael just said, I'm Andrew. I am a junior chemistry major here at Holy Cross in the Health Professions Advising program. I actually, this past semester, applied to the committee for my review, waiting to hear back on that soon. So we'll see what goes on with that. But besides being a chemistry major and doing the pre-med stuff, I'm also an athlete here on campus. So I'm a part of the cross-country and track and field team. I am an admissions tour guide and tour guide coordinator, so I run tours all the time. Yeah, and I'm also involved in a lot of things off campus in terms of volunteer work. I'm actually this semester working at the vaccination clinic at Worcester State, so I'm really excited about that. And I've been a part of a volunteer program at a healthcare center since being a freshman here on campus. So I don't know if you have specific questions for me, Michael, but happy to jump in wherever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the more popular questions that has been asked, and of course, Dr. Cahill did get a chance to address it, but I would love to hear it from the student perspective, especially you mentioned being a student athlete on campus. How do you handle the work?
Yeah. So, as I said, I'm a part of the track and field team, and I'm also on the cross country team. So I'm in season from the second I step foot on campus until the end of finals in the spring, in terms of practices and also competing all over the country in the Patriot League. And I will say it's something that, kind of I had to learn along the way in terms of prioritizing my work, with my practice schedule and all that kind of stuff. But I've been able to complete all of the pre-med requirements, meaning I've taken all of the courses already as a junior. So that was super exciting. I just planned it out accordingly. And, I will say that Holy Cross's professors are very understanding. If I'm ever missing class because I'm traveling or anything like that, they're very understanding of what's going on. They know even, the lab courses where you have to be in person, very accommodating of making sure that I'm going to be able to get in, do whatever work I have to do. But yeah, it's something that, I had to learn along the way as I first got to Holy Cross, but definitely doable if that's what I'm trying to get at.
Perfect. And there are a few questions here that are somewhat related about finding internships, maybe as early as freshman year. I'm wondering, what was the sort of path for you in terms of, when did you start to think about internship experiences or professional experience versus sort of weighing out the health professions track itself?
Yeah, for sure. So I will say that I actually came into Holy Cross undeclared, as all students do. So I had no real path in front of me that I knew I was going to follow. I kind of fell in love with medicine because of things that I was doing in Worcester, being that I was working at that volunteering at that healthcare site from my first week here on campus, and I've been going every week since. Also being so close to UMass Med, now I'm able to work in the vaccination clinic, which is so awesome. But I've talked to the Center of Career Development kind of after my freshman year, saying, these are things that I'm interested in. Do you have anything that you can help me out with? They've been unbelievable in terms of helping with resume, cover letters, things like that. This past summer, I worked at a biomedical engineering company, which was really awesome. I was able to develop PPE for hospitals. Actually, St. Vincent's in Worcester was using one of the products that we created this past summer. So that was a super rewarding experience for me. So I guess similarly, it's something that I found along the way. I didn't know before I came to Holy Cross that this was something that I was going to get into, but happy that I am now.
Great. And Andrew, we actually do have a question directly to you. So I just do want to put this to you before we open it up to both Dr. Cahill and yourself once more. How have you spent your summers thus far?
Yeah, so my first year summer, so I guess after my first year here, I didn't get any sort of internship. I had a summer job back at home that I had been working for a while, and I came back and it was more just something that I wanted to keep making money over the summer and save up. But to be honest with you, it had nothing to do with pre-med. It had nothing to do with chemistry. It was just something that I enjoyed. I enjoyed my summer after my first year. Not to say that I don't enjoy my summers now, but they are definitely like more towards what career path I want to do. So as I said, this past summer and then this summer coming up, I've been working at a biomedical engineering company, an internship here. I'm from Massachusetts, so it's not too far away from home.
Perfect. Thank you so much. As I said, I do want to open it up both to Dr. Cahills and Andrew for some of these questions. One of them has a little bit of an overlap, and it's essentially asking sort of what is the value of the Holy Cross program, whether it's biology program, health professions advising, compared to maybe other colleges and universities that are out there.
I can start.
Andrew, you want to take a take a shot at first?
I mean, I think that Holy Cross, so being the only undergraduate liberal arts college that is in the United States, that means a lot to me. So that sentence has a lot in it too, and being
Jesuit, you mean, right? Jesuit undergraduate liberal arts.
Jesuit undergraduate in liberal arts, yes. Sorry. so those three things mean a lot to me. What we can start with Jesuit, meaning that Holy Cross is an academically rigorous school, but I've never felt that students are cutthroat in any sort of way. Both students and professors look out for each other, and they really want to see each other succeed. So that meant a lot to me, because I knew that I was going to be in classes that were difficult, and I didn't want to be in a competitive environment. I wanted to be a place where everyone wanted to see me succeed. So that was really big. Fully undergraduate means also a lot to me because I have genuine relationships with my professors. They know my name. They know who I am. I'm not being taught by a graduate student or anything like that. I also have opportunities that other larger institutions might not offer because I'm not competing with graduate students for, professors' attention. I'm working in a lab now, doing some research on campus, which is super exciting that I have that opportunity even as an undergraduate junior. And then the last thing being liberal arts really meant a lot to me because I get to do all sorts of different things. As I said, I didn't come in knowing I wanted to be a chemistry major, but found that along the way by taking all sorts of different disciplines. I also think there's value in not just hammering home chemistry, learning how to write a paper in English and think philosophically in my philosophy class. All of that is accumulation towards a well-rounded individual.
Right. I think that's a great answer to that question. As a small liberal arts college, all your classes are going to be small. Your professors are going to get to know you. You heard that straight from a student. You're going to have opportunities you wouldn't have at a larger institution because you're going to be the graduate student. Instead of being taught by a graduate student, you're going to be the one who's working in the lab and mentoring the younger students too. Should I go through some of the other questions here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I did have one actually, Dr. Kale, so
Yep.
I wouldn't mind. I accidentally hit that it was answered and it actually wasn't. So I'm going to address that one to you first. What classes should we think about signing up for as a freshman, as an incoming freshman to Holy Cross to start checking off the requirements for med school?
Okay, well, you have plenty of time to figure that out at orientation, Gateways orientation. You'll meet with an advisor that will help you figure that out. It really depends on what your plans are for a major. If you want to be a science major, then you should start taking those science classes. If it's chemistry, take a chemistry class, biology class. Otherwise, probably start with chemistry. If you have a really strong high school background, like you've taken AP courses in sciences, and maybe you want to start with chemistry and biology. But otherwise, really, you can start with any of the sciences. Okay, so move on to other questions.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll let you you pick your.
How about you, Andrew? How did you decide what first classes to take?
Yeah, I kind of started with chemistry just because I really liked my chemistry teacher from high school. It was totally random. I knew I wanted to do something with sciences, so I was thinking biochemistry, math maybe, but it was totally random that I just liked my chemistry teacher from high school. So I was like, maybe we can go that route, and it ended up working out really well. I clicked well with the professors in the chemistry department, and that's kind of how that ended up happening, I guess.
Great. Well, it may seem overwhelming to see these 15 classes, or sometimes a little more than that, or a little less than that. It all works out okay because there's a lot of different paths that you can take to complete those courses. Right? If you just keep pecking away at them, you'll get through okay. So, a question about nutritionist or dietitian. That's usually a specific pre-professional program that we don't offer. So you're encouraged to come to Holy Cross to get a liberal arts degree for sure, but then you'd have to go on and take prerequisite courses somewhere else before you go into some sort of graduate nutritionist or dietitian program. That's really kind of a special field. Is PA advising similar to pre-med? What are the major differences? But in terms of the advising piece, sure. Yep, we offer all kinds of advising for pre-PA students. We don't distinguish them. We think that all students should think about all careers. There's a PA that sits on our committee who teaches actually at MCPHS Worcester, one of the Worcester area colleges. What are the major differences? Well, technically speaking, PA school doesn't require physics, and it usually only one semester of organic, but it does require anatomy and physiology and microbiology. The other big difference, and you can take those courses at Holy Cross, we're unique probably in liberal arts colleges in that we offer those courses for PA and NP programs. The other big difference is you really need a lot of clinical care experience. You probably need at least a year of full-time work working directly with patients. And we're happy to help figure out how to do that, although that's really challenging to do as a student. So, next question. Do you believe med schools view student athletes differently than regular students in the application process? Is there an advantage to playing the D1 level, managing a full course load? Maybe Andrew can chime in after I say, I don't think they view them differently. Schools view look at every student's record, and they want to see that students have showed leadership. That's something you can certainly do through a sport, that they've managed a busy schedule. That's absolutely something you do with a Division I sport. That they're good team players, right? Medicine is really a team operations now, and you can get those skills from a sport. But there are non-Division I athletic ways to do that too. What do you think, Andrew? Do you think it helped prepare you in a special way?
Well, I mean, I think that everyone has their own path. Mine being athletics doesn't mean that, that's the only path. But I think that you hit it right on. Everybody has different ways of demonstrating the qualities that med schools look for, being leadership, community, all sorts of good stuff. It just so happens that, athletics is the path that I chose, and that, yeah, I'm really glad to hear that you think that those character traits are embodied in athletics, but by no means, I don't think that it's the only way, as long as you're doing something, right? It can be community service, it can be clubs you're involved in, just staying active.
They're going to still want to see you have strong grades and strong test scores. So that's a constant no matter what you do. They want to see you're doing something, engaging in something deeply. And that could be athletics, could be something else. Do you need to take any plant biology classes? Specifically in plant biology, no. There's some plant biology in 162, right? In Bio 162, but that's our second bio class. We have classes in those areas in the bio major, but you don't have to take specific ones. What's interesting about medical, dental, etc. application is there's actually only 2 semesters of biology required. But the biology you need, they're going to teach you in your professional school. There's actually much more chemistry. There are 5 chemistry classes and 2 biology classes for medical school. Does Holy Cross have affiliations with graduate schools for early acceptances, graduate health schools? We do, although those are things you should think about very, very carefully. So we have one with Albany Medical School, for example, and a couple of the SUNY schools. Mount Sinai there has a program. So yeah, we do have a small number of early acceptance programs, but I'm a little skeptical of them usually, and I'd be happy to talk more about why if you'd like at another time. But it's just very early for someone to be making a big decision to go to a particular school. It's someone who gets into one of those early acceptance programs. They're almost certainly, I'd say certainly going to get into a variety of medical schools if they just waited a little bit later and applied later. And maybe one of those schools would be a better fit or more cost effective. So we do have students apply to those programs and occasionally do go, but I think there are some concerns about them that I share with the students as they're thinking about these programs. What classes would you recognize for a neuroscience interest? We have a neuroscience major. So do the neuroscience major, I'd say. It's a really rigorous program. We have a neuroscience minor as well. So if you want to have a major and minor in neuroscience, that's perfectly possible as well. We have an incredibly rigorous neuroscience program. We have an animal lab on campus that actually they're working on right now. They're refurbishing and expanding right now. We have terrific neuroscientists, both in the psychology department and in the biology department, but we have neuroscience classes in physics, in philosophy, all across our liberal arts curriculum. Okay. Any other questions for the car question? I'm not sure how to answer.
I was actually just going to jump in and answer that. I know that they are pretty strict about only juniors and seniors having cars on campus. So for freshmen and sophomores who may have either internship experiences or jobs off campus, or maybe some type of event that's going on off campus, the Holy Cross does provide transportation for those students. There's a shuttle that students can actually reserve that will take them to various areas of the Worcester area. If it's an internship experience or something that's going on outside of the Worcester community, we do have a zip car account on campus, I should say. So students can sign up for that, and they would actually have access to a car themselves through the zip car program. So again, students would take advantage of that if that's going to be the case. I will turn it back over to you, Dr. Cahill.
So help prepare for the MCAT, Andrea. I'm not sure how you did it. We have a relationship with Kaplan, and so we have an institutional discount to take Kaplan classes, which are it's not required, it's optional, but we provide financial aid to make sure everyone can afford to take it if they want to go that route. Our classes are really strong though. I think they provide pretty good basis, but there are a lot of different ways to prepare for the MCAT and DAT and other test prep. What did you do, Andrew?
Yeah, so actually over this winter break, I took the Kaplan course that you're mentioning, which was really nice that Holy Cross has that relationship because I got a discount. I know it's not cheap to take those classes. So that was a great opportunity that I had because I was on winter break. So I was working, but I wasn't taking a full course load of classes. It was like taking another class at the school where we met a couple of times a week over Zoom and we're preparing for the class. I'm actually taking my MCAT 3 weeks from yesterday, so May 1st. So fingers crossed that everything goes well with that, and we'll see.
May 1st is going to be a big day for all the students, apparently.
Right. Okay, how would someone go about balancing a political science major with pre-med concentration? So it's totally fine. You really can be any major. You should be any major. You should think about how you want to spend your 4 years here and take advantage of the full liberal arts. So, you take your science classes and requirements, and you take your poli-sci major. I think that's great. Talk to just about any doctor, and I think they wish that we had more physicians who are politically savvy and are have some understanding of politics and can work in the political system. I think that's great. And like neuroscience, is there a minor or path for those wanting to go into sports medicine? Sports medicine is kind of a broad field, so it depends on what you mean. Athletic training, not really so much. That's a technical field, but sports medicine includes all kinds of physician specialties like orthopedic surgery or physiatry. So there isn't anything special in sports medicine. We do have a sports medicine department with Andrew. I don't know how familiar you are with it. Probably every athlete becomes familiar with our athletic trainers at some point. We actually, the main physicians who work on our athletes, they're Holy Cross alumni. They're happy to help mentor students interested in those kinds of careers. I don't know if that answers your question. Any last questions? We have 5 minutes left. I'm happy to stick around for those 5 minutes.
Absolutely. Well, if we don't have any additional questions, one of the things that I did hear, Andrew, you mentioned that you are actually involved in research right now on campus, and as somebody who's not science-minded and a little bit out of place in this webinar, I'm going to ask a somewhat maybe scary question for myself, but to put it to the rest of the group, what is some of the research that you're focusing on right now?
Yeah, so it's a little interesting right now just because of everything going on in the pandemic, and we weren't on campus last semester, but I am working in Professor Help's lab, who is a chemistry professor here on campus. And I'm looking at different biofuels. So the separation of those biofuels. Basically, when you go to the gas station, that's like pure petroleum versus, if there are renewable sources of energy, that kind of stuff. So it's really cool. It's an additional class that I'm taking right now, but probably going to be one of my full-time classes next semester. And hopefully going to get more exposure into the lab with her guidance to see kind of renewable energy, that kind of stuff. So really interesting, not really like connected to medicine, I guess, but something really fun that I'm looking into.
Wasn't as over my head as I expected it to be. That's great. Well, that's great to hear. I think with that said, it's probably about time just to wrap up our webinars. We are running a little bit short on time here. I want to first of all, of course, thank Dr. Cahill as well as Andrew for their time here tonight and providing a little bit of perspective on what the health professions advising track looks like here at Holy Cross. We of course have other webinar series that are going to be ongoing throughout the rest of April. So if there's anything else that students or families would like to sign up for or hear a little bit more about, I just posted a link there into the chat. You're welcome to see the full schedule of the remainder of our webinars for this April. Again, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about different aspects of the college. If we wouldn't mind, Dr. Cahill, Andrew, you can actually put your email addresses as well into the chat box here. If anybody does have any additional questions, you're welcome to reach out to really any of us here. I'll also put my email address into the chat box there. So feel free to shoot us any questions that you may have beyond tonight. But as I said before, this webinar will be archived on our Accepted Students website, so you're welcome to view it a little bit later. But again, thank you all so much for joining us here tonight, and best of luck, of course, in the rest of the college decision process. And I, of course, hope everybody is staying safe and healthy during these times. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.